and welcome to the Woollentwine Fibrestudio YouTube channel. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind Woollentwine Fibrestudio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany where I play with botanical dyes and natural yarns. Welcome back to a new podcast episode. Today is a really gloomy and weird February day, and I thought I would sit down and just give you a bit of an overview of what I'm working on currently and what I'm up to knitting-wise. I really want to record more of those episodes and, just share a little bit more about my knitting and all the processes behind the scenes of my business. For those of you who don't know, I am a yarn dyer and I work with plant dyes and custom spun yarns only. But for some reason, I just really struggle finding enough time to, incorporate daily filming or like more filming in general because of all of the hats that I'm already wearing as a small business owner. So apologies that I'm still not as frequent as I would like to be. However, I really hope that I will be able to record more episodes soon when, spring comes around, and there are a lot of projects currently in the pipeline that I hope will be a bit further at that point so I can actually, make some more time for filming actually. But yeah, I hope you're well. I hope you have some crafty projects with you and that you'll enjoy my virtual company for the next half hour or so. I have been knitting on mainly 2 projects over the past weeks, and I didn't have a whole lot of knitting time. I was traveling spontaneously for work, and I also had, just a lot of tasks that required my attention, and I don't know, I didn't have a huge amount of knitting time during January. And that also kind of, usually I have a bit of a planning session at the end of December, early January about my projects that I want to knit in the next couple of months. But for some reason, this kind of session that I usually have was postponed to kind of now. So I was still working on projects that I had from December, so I was carrying them over into the new year. And now I would like to start planning my projects, not in this kind of typical make 9 way, but just so you have a bit of an overview of what I am planning to do. I already know that I'm going to be shuffling things around anyways, because how I approach my crafting is that obviously I have samples to knit in my own yarns, but sometimes I just get this vision all of a sudden for a certain project or a certain sample, or I don't know, and then I kind of have to execute it right away. So while I'm a relatively monogamous knitter and I usually have 1 to 2 projects at the time, sometimes it just happens that I kind of jump from one to another and, switch things around a little bit. But without further ado, I guess I'll start sharing my knits with you. First of all, starting with what I'm wearing. This one is my Lulu slipover, knit in my own yarn, which is solace worsted in the undyed color. This one was featured in the intro video about solace, which is a new yarn that I released recently. And if you want to see it more in action, you can see it there. I will link the video for you and also in the description box. But yeah, this one is my Lulu slipover, and actually I always thought I'm not really a slipover person, but ever since this one is in my wardrobe, I kind of want to wear it all the time, and it's still technically also a sample, so I don't want to ruin it, but I reach for it so often while I'm at the studio because we're having a relatively harsh winter here in northern Germany because we're so close to the sea. Technically, still, we don't get a lot of really harsh temperatures during the winter and summer anymore. Obviously, it's getting warmer and warmer. But this winter, we've had so much snow and really icy temperatures, which is completely unusual, at least for the past 15 years or so. And yeah, usually I can get away with what I'm wearing. I do usually layer some like undershirts and then still wear my linen dresses over the top. And while I'm working, I'm quite like I move a lot while I'm dyeing yarn So I don't usually need another layer, but every time I sit down, I have to put on a woolen layer immediately because even with heating and everything, I was freezing all of the time. And this one is just the perfect layering piece because it doesn't bother me even when I have to get up and do something at my dipods, or, I have to go somewhere, do something with my hands. It doesn't bother me because it doesn't have sleeves and it's really like easy to layer and just even wear while working. So, yeah, I have been surprisingly excited about this one and wearing the final piece, even though I always thought slipovers are not 100% my thing, but obviously they are. With this one especially though, because it has these very wide sleeve openings. So I'm not like bothered even if because for example, when I hang yarn on drying racks, I have to like lift my arms up and down quite often. And I get so upset whenever, the whole knit like moves too much and has, for example, if they have a really deep yoke and, the sleeves kind of lift the yoke, I get upset about this so much. So, yeah, maybe after all, I'm actually a slip over person because this is so easy to wear even around the studio. So, wholeheartedly recommending. The pattern is by petiteknit. I think I haven't said that before, but yeah, it's the Lulu Slipover by petiteknit. I will link you my project down below so you can actually reference yarn amounts, needle size, everything, because for some reason I always seem to forget to mention them in the videos. And therefore, I actually made sure that things are, somewhere referenced and noted. Which also reminds me of the fact that I wanted to show you how I set up my crafting journal. Let me know if that's still interesting for you, because if it is, I might try to, at some point, make a video about it. I don't know. But yeah, I think I do keep my notes quite meticulously because obviously whenever I do a shop sample in my own yarns, it's quite helpful when people ask me something about either the knitting experience, amount of yarn used, potential modifications, and other measurements. I don't know. I think it's very easy for me to keep track analog and then transfer it to my Ravelry project. So yeah, what I always try to do is also like stick to the pattern and choose patterns that are easy to recreate, just in case you wanted to make them for yourself and just make it a bit easier for you. However, I oftentimes have to adjust patterns that I knit for myself just because I'm a relatively short person, and most of the time the patterns are just too long for me. And especially in the torso, I'm usually like something between 8 to 10 centimeters short. And so I most of the time have to shorten my pieces, but I always add that to my Ravelry projects and put how much, if I shortened it, how many centimeters. And then it's also making more sense with the yardage used, because that's also, sometimes I just use a little bit less than a pattern calls for just because I shorten it. So sorry for rambling. I feel like I'm a bit rusty when it comes to podcasting, but I just hope I'll get into the flow a bit more for the new year. But yeah, so far about my Lulu Slipover, let me get into my works in progress. So one of my projects that I'm currently working on is actually almost done. So I really wanted to record today, even though it's also really gloomy outside. But just because I kind of am almost done with it, and I still wanted to update you one more time while it's still in the whip phase about it, because I showed you this one in my previous podcast episode when it was still just a small back piece, I guess. Let me see how I can kind of elegantly execute this. But this one is actually a newly released pattern, and this is my Terra cardigan, or Terra like Earth. And this is a pattern by Joanne Phil, or Joanna Philippe is her full name, I believe. And it is a cardigan with this beautiful, let me see if we can adjust the lighting a little bit, if we can see a bit more this way. It's a beautiful textured cardigan with this slip stitch texture that is really fun to knit and also makes counting rows super easily. I think I remember I mentioned that in my last podcast episode, but the fact that this is a 4-row repeat and you can always see like the first row because it's this slip stitch is done in the first row. This makes it quite easy to actually count the rows, which is very convenient. But yeah, the pattern, I think it came out yesterday while I'm recording this, so it should be out by now. I'll make sure to link my unfinished project with the pattern link below still. But yeah, currently it's in a bit of a weird state because I read that the neckline will pull together the cardigan quite a bit, and therefore I knitted the neckline before I did the sleeves, and now I'm actually almost done. This is my second sleeve, and I'm only missing the cuff on this sleeve. But other than that, it's actually done, and I hope that also by showing you this one in its width stage, we will see the magic that blocking does, because from what I see, it's going to be so beautiful, especially with the shaping of the neckline that obviously now is like curling up due to not being blocked. But I don't know if you can see, but it's this very beautiful curved neckline. And then it has these shoulder details back here that are also very pretty that I can't wait to block out. Like, imagine this sleeve. It's going to be so nice. But yeah, I have been working on this. I've been completing the neckline and the button bands recently, and they are all done. Oops, sorry. They are all done and finished with tubular bind off, which makes them extra neat. I love these kind of details. But yeah, I'm almost done, and I think this is going to be really cozy and warm. I have not made my final decision on buttons yet, but I think I will go with something, not too lightly colored, not too much of a contrast, but maybe with something with a bit of character or patina almost. So either one of my favorite is the stamped buttons from Merchant and Mills. They have these, they are these metal buttons. I'll try to insert some clips or, just reference them somewhere because I've used them quite a few times recently. They are just a very simple stamped metal button in like a brassy kind of antique finish. They are very nice. Either those or something like mother of pearl type, but not the super white pearly ones, but maybe a bit of a darker one. Just so it's not too harsh of a contrast with the chocolate dark brown yarn, which, by the way, is my Nurture base, which is a very, very special yarn. I created this one in collaboration with Annina of Idankehrämö, which is a super small one-woman show mill in Finland. And this is a 100% Finn sheep wool, and it's, I think some people mistaken Finnish sheep's wool with Finn sheep wool, because Finn sheep wool is one of the finest wools I personally have ever touched. It's very soft, has a lot of a halo, especially in Nurture, because Nurture, let me see if I can hold up the skein. Nurture is a single ply yarn. So it's a lot, it shows a lot of the halo. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, it's so beautiful and really, really soft to me. So yeah, this is a very special yarn. And Finn sheep also come in a lot of natural colors. So this one is actually just natural chocolate brown. And I'm really picky with browns. I don't know, if they're too cold, I don't like them. If they're too warm, I don't like them. But this one is simply the perfect brown for me, to be honest. I really, really like it, and decided to pick this one for my cardigan. I think this is going to be so nice also over like light colored linen dresses for when spring comes around and I can wear this almost as like a jacket. That was definitely the plan for it. Um, wow, this looks really, sorry, it's not blocked, so it's kind of like really going up. But yeah, I haven't shortened the body too much. I think maybe 1 or 2 centimeters, just because it worked with a pattern repeat at that point, and I thought rather too short than too long. Um, so it's gonna be more of like an oversized jacket style piece for me, I guess. Um, and I'm super excited for it. Um, but yeah, I guess there will just be the cuff. It looks really like the sleeves are relatively wide. It looks super wide here. But I like that because it's more, especially if I want to layer it as a jacket, I think it's going to be quite comfortable and nice. But yeah, just a little bit more, and then I will add the second cuff, which will look like this. It's just a 1x1 rib and then finished with a tubular wind off. So I hope to finish this one maybe tonight. I'm actually doing a lot of knitting while I'm watching the Winter Olympics. I'm a huge Olympics fan, especially figure skating got my heart. And also I like all of the like free skiing and snowboard things. However, yeah, I had a little challenge actually last Friday when the opening of the Olympics were, that I had a challenge together with my sister Nele, who is also a knitter, and she's currently also knitting her current project in nurture, which was fun. But we made a challenge of how far we could come during the Olympics opening, and I put a little progress keeper. These are from my friend Aude of Bubbles and Berries. You have seen these on my podcast quite a few times because I just love them. But yeah, I put a progress keeper, and I think I made almost 2/3 of a sleeve. So yeah, that was a very productive knitting evening, and I just kept the progress keeper in there. So yeah, that is my Terra cardigan so far. I will link the pattern below. I can wholeheartedly recommend making it, just because also the stitch pattern is so, it keeps it interesting, but it's still very soothing and easy to work. So yeah, really, really lovely pattern, and yeah, I can not recommend enough. I'm already eyeing another pattern by Joanna, because it's just, I think it's called, no, I can't remember. I will make sure to kind of mention it somewhere else or put the name on the screen, because I cannot remember. But it's kind of a pattern with like a geometrical square that is a texture. So it's just one color, but there's like a square texture made with pearl bombs or something. I don't know how it's actually working. I haven't looked into it that much, but I know that it has come up on my feed on Instagram quite a few times, and I'm like, I think this is my next one. I'm very into textured knits at the moment, so yeah, I guess that will be the next one. And with that being said, I guess the last thing I wanted to mention is that this new color of Nurture is actually supposed to launch at the end of this month. So I wholeheartedly recommend you to sign up for my newsletter if you want to be notified when the launch date goes live and I show you the previews and everything. Especially because currently I'm experiencing a lot of trouble with Instagram, which is also honestly, as a creator, a little bit discouraging, because I'm not expecting like huge like audiences. I don't usually check like the reach of my posts a whole lot, but I've noticed that there's a lot of there was a huge decline in replies to my question stickers, for example, when I posted them, or like in general, it was posting felt like a bit like screaming into a void. And I was wondering why that is. And I realized that actually 1% of my Instagram followers are being shown my stories. So it's just a couple of hundred people who see my stories at the moment. So, and I used to do a lot of like sneak peeks and announcements in my stories. But the thing is that if that doesn't reach you, where's the point in that? So I'm working on it. But the best way to actually keep in touch is to sign up for the newsletter. And also I have opened a little broadcast channel on Instagram where you can have any info like directly into your inbox, just to make up for the fact that I'm simply not showing up for people, it seems. Um, yeah, but enough of that, a little bit annoying Instagram talk. I just wanted to mention that if you want, like, if you like the look of this yarn and you might, be interested in getting it, the best way to stay in touch is definitely my newsletter list, because that is how you definitely get everything into your inbox. Um, but yeah, so far about my first work in progress. Let me start sharing the next one with you. So I have a second work in progress, and that is, you've seen my Terra cardigan. It's huge. That is because I commute to the studio and back every day. So, if I want to take a project with me, I usually have one smaller project just to take on my work commute. And yeah, the Terra cardigan just grew too massively over the past weeks. So I also have another project, which I actually have casted on before in another color and realized I have too little yarn because it was a leftover. So I realized I won't have enough yarn, and I kind of, went back and started it again. And this is also a test knit. So this is a pair of socks, and it is the Petra socks by mclean of Sunday Morning Knits. And this pattern is also supposed to launch soon. So I will keep you updated on the exact launch date and everything as soon as it's confirmed. But yeah, I will definitely, it will definitely be very soon. So probably still this month, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check with Laura. But yeah, these are my Petra socks, and they are, look at another little bubbles and berry stitch marker. You can see that I really love them. So they have this beautiful textural pattern, and it shows up even better when it's blocked. So I'm trying to pull it so you can see. It's a very simple texture, and it's the same that Laura also used in her Petra scarf and Petra hood pattern. So it's kind of like a Petra everything collection, which I love. So the Petra scarf is actually also designed in my yarn. So it's designed in heirloom, but you can do it in any yarn weight. It's simply like a recipe pattern, and I absolutely love it. I'll try to insert some pictures of my Petra scarf for you just to reference, and maybe find the episode where I show it. I don't 100% know which one it is, but I'll try to figure out. If I can, then I'll link it down below. But yeah, this is the sock version of the Petra pattern, and it's super easy to do. Very mindless, very simple. I was actually working on this sock when we were traveling to Milan. It was a bit of a work trip, and I was accompanied for this work trip. I was accompanied by my partner because I don't drive. I do have a driver's license, but I don't drive, and I especially don't drive in Italy. So he accompanied me. I cannot share details about where we went and why and all of that, but we'll do so at a later date. However, I was accompanied by him, and he's a huge like any kind of sports fan basically, but he also loves to watch football. And so I promised for in exchange for driving, I would go to a football match with him to the stadium. And I don't know. I don't know if it's really my thing. I think it's too loud for me and too many people generally. But I was so happy that I had my knitting with me. I don't know if that was weird to knit at like a huge football stadium. But yeah, I sat there with my knitting and I brought this. And this was just a little, side story to tell how easily memorable the stitch pattern is, because I was able to follow it while I was at the football stadium. So yeah, these are my Petra socks. I'm working them on 2.25 millimeter needles in a 9-inch circular. I know these are a bit controversial, but I love them. I have relatively small hands and I don't have very long fingers, so they don't bother me. But I think a lot of people struggle with them being very short. And you kind of need to change the way how you grab your needles. So it's like more in the front and with the front fingers, or like the first half of your hand. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I know a lot of people don't really like them. But I love them, especially for color work because you don't have the transitions between, DPNs or a magic loop. So it gets really neat. Um, but yeah, this is super easy to do also on the 9-inch circulars, and I can just, go round and round and round. It's really fast. I think I'll stop the leg soon, just because I don't have very long legs. And oftentimes when I have too long of a sock leg, they go up too high and then they're a bit tight around the calves. So yeah, I think I'll soon start the heel. The yarn I'm using is my own sock yarn, over sock, which is a 100% wool, non-superwash, no plastic, no nylon, no nothing yarn, with a higher twist for durability. And this has been around for some years. But yeah, this is the colorway. Wait, I don't 100% remember, but I know I kept the label. I kept the label this time, so I'm not gonna mess up. So this is the clove colorway. And it is like is it even showing up? Or is this like mirrored now? I don't know. But this is the clove colorway. And it is like a warm reddish brown. I think it's really nice and cozy for the winter. For one more pair for winter, I guess. And yeah, I'm really enjoying them. It's nice to have, something going on pattern-wise, but nothing too crazy that I need to pay attention to. So it's like a bit more than a vanilla sock in terms of concentration, but not too much. So I really enjoy doing this. Yeah, those are my Petra socks. I have them in yet another project bag from one of my favorite project bag makers, which is Milda of Payauta Makes. And she hand embroiders these bags, and there is no sponsorship or ad or anything. I buy all of these with my own money, and I just absolutely love her work. And this new shape was actually really catching my eye because I really love that you can, it opens like this very widely, and you can almost use it as like a bucket on your side table or wherever you're using it and just pull from it. Especially when I'm using 2 strands of a yarn and I have 2 cakes, falling around. It's very handy to just have them in here and keep it open and then just, place it next to me while I knit. And I have a beige version of this one as well, but I had to get another dark one just because I thought I knew that I would need to travel quite a bit this year, and that I would need some small travel projects to take with me. And then I like that this is a bit darker, just in case I would have to, knit on a plane or a train, and, it won't stain as quickly as a beige one, I thought. So that justified my yet another project bag purchase from Milda. But yeah, I'm just so happy. Look at the embroidery. I just love it. They are so pretty. But yeah, so far about my Petra socks. And I am thinking, let me know what you think about this. I am thinking of doing like a bit more of a sock series on this channel, also sharing, my tips and tricks about non-superwash and plastic-free sock knitting, what I've learned over the years, what my experiences are, and all of these things. Let me know if that's interesting for you, and also what kind of topics are the most of interest, because sometimes, I think I've mentioned this before, but sometimes it's a bit, when you're doing this on a daily basis and it's your job to work with yarn and knitting, and some things become so natural and so obvious to you that you don't really think about it anymore. At least for me, that's the case. And sometimes I feel like I'm losing perspective of what people who might be doing this for the first time, or facing a problem for the first time might be thinking about it or wondering about something. So, yeah, it's really helpful if you tell me what you're actually wondering about when it comes to sock knitting with non-superwash and, woolen yarns. Um, just because there is a lot to it, and there are a lot of different, parts of the process that can conclude into, or that can actually contribute to, a successful, in terms of wear and durability, sock knitting with non-superwash and plastic-free yarns. So yeah, just help me out and let me know what you're actually curious about. You can either comment it on this video, or you can actually, just send me an email or whatever. Because I think I would like to have this on like a long-term thing, and maybe accompany it even with blog posts and because I mean, I have learned a lot over the past years about this, and I've been knitting non-superwash sock yarns for I don't know how many years, maybe like almost 10, I guess, exclusively. So I haven't really touched a superwash yarn since then. So yeah, I guess I would love to share some of that knowledge and some of those learnings. And yeah, if you have any specific topics, questions, or also like controversial um, statements that you would like me to clarify, or that you would like me to share my thoughts on, just feel free to leave that down below, or just email me about it, and I'll happily execute that, because I think it's nice to share some knowledge. But yeah, I guess that is it for today's episode. Since I'm almost done with my Terra cardigan, I am about to cast on for a new garment knit. I have a couple of ideas in my head on which ones I'm going to start next. But if you've come across any specific beautiful patterns recently, I'm always happy to see them. So if you feel like, leave me a comment with your favorite patterns that you've seen recently. I can't wait to, do a new project cast on. I don't know, it's always something special, isn't it? So yeah, really looking forward to that. And I can't wait to also show you my finished and blocked Tara cardigan. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let me close this episode by saying thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll be here for the next episode. I have a special episode planned next. So maybe putting the classic YouTube disclaimer here of maybe you can subscribe and also click a notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload. Because I hope to have another video out very soon, maybe in like a week or two. And that one's gonna be a special one, so stay tuned for it, and maybe subscribe and turn on the notifications. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and happy knitting. See you soon. Bye!